Ranjo Stenja.
If you played this game to completion, or even 8 hours of it, I bet you know exactly who that was. Nailsmith, of course, talking to you in his lonely hut in the corner of City of Tears. But why was that so easy? Why are we able to tell so easily the voice line from a character who only really exists to buff our own? Why are the NPCs in Hollow Knight so good? To really get into the details here, I've gathered a few examples. I'll go into detail with each to try and understand this question. But first...
Vendasu.
I feel I had to talk about this lonely bug after using him for the intro. The Nailsmith serves one exclusive and crucial purpose in everyone's playthrough: to buff your nail damage, refining it from the broken old nail you start out with to the most glorious weapon in Hollow Nest. The idea of a blacksmith like this is very common in games, especially with those with an open-ended idea like Hollow Knight, but there's something a bit special about the Nailsmith. He only features a limited amount of dialogue, most of which surrounds the actual reason you need to see him. A small speech at the start before your first nail upgrade, and a moment after your last. But everyone who's gotten to the max nail knows what comes after. In a moment of almost panic, the Nailsmith says,
"I must step outside for a moment,"
and disappears from his hut. You find the Nailsmith standing at the edge of a cliff, and when talking to him, he explains that his life's work is now complete. There's no point in living anymore, and he simply wishes to feel the product of his effort. In other words, he wants you to attack him, to kill him with the weapon he forged. Now I, like most people, didn't end up killing him, I just felt too bad, though I was quickly curious to find out where exactly he ended up. I found him next with an NPC I had talked to previously, Sheo, and when I talked to the Nailsmith, he explains that he found a new passion, a new reason to live. This character represents something huge in the game that I feel is present in every single NPC who's memorable. This idea is surplus. Conveniently, our next topic includes the lovely Sheo, but also the other brothers scattered around the corners of Hollow Nest, Nailmasters Oro and Mato. If you're anything like me, the exploration of the Nailmasters looked a little like this. After finding your way into Greenpath, you stumble across a room full of these weird flying bugs, and after trying your best to get as far as you can, you realize you need a power-up. You find this ability in the Crystal Peaks, but before you remember about the room in Greenpath, you find yourself in the Howling Cliffs and grab the Cyclone Slash from the delightful Mato. You then make your way to Kingdom's Edge, where you meet Oro in his hut, who teaches you Dash Slash for a slim cost. Finally, you remember the Flying Bug parkour, and you finish off your collection with the Great Slash. This experience isn't on its own, but it's still likely that you had something different to me. Either way, the nail arts as a whole isn't an idea that many players use too much, and the task of getting them itself is an endeavor. So, what's so memorable about these bugs? Each one of these characters have their own unique dialogue and their own past. Talking to them will quickly reveal their relationships with one another. The trio achieved their mastery with the nail arts under the teachings of Sly, a shopkeeper you've likely discovered much earlier in the playthrough. The brothers had a bit of a hierarchy, with Sheo proving most talented. Something happened between the brothers Oro and Mato, however, and they separated, finding themselves on opposite corners of the map to avoid one another, and Sheo dropped the identity of a Nailmaster altogether. It's easy to think that there's everything done, but for players dedicated to the game, you find the brothers at the end of Pantheon 1 and Got Home, seeming to have made up enough to fight together. Though their relationship afterwards is not delved into much at all, you can tell that something's changed. The entirety of the Nailmasters and their story, past and present, exemplifies another feature that makes NPCs in this game so memorable: their lore.
Daka!
I admit that I'm biased, but not only is the Grim Troop a fantastic part of the game, but it features some of the best music and boss fights in gaming in its entirety. The Grim Troop is quite an easy thing to just stumble upon. In fact, I ended up summoning them to Dirtmouth on complete accident. Just got lucky enough to try to dreamnail the large bug and ended up lighting the embers. I didn't even see what I did till almost an hour later when I was headed to Sly's shop and saw the big tents. The Grim Troop has a lovely cast of characters. Some are cool, some are interesting, and one that demands absolute attention. Grim is my absolute favorite fight in the game, and my second favorite NPC in the entire game. Grim is not one to be forgotten, and for a reason well beyond his charm and sharp notch. He has an ability to make everyone who encounters him fall in love with his design. Before the fight, when you first talk to him, he carries a certain intention behind his words, as if there's something he's not telling you. only supported by the fact by he's not even looking at you directly, only ever talking to you over his shoulder. Continuing with his annoying as shit quest, he'll reveal what he means by dance with him, starting with a bow. Most people tend to absolutely love the fight that comes with Grim, and I'm no exception. The way it's structured to keep a certain rhythm, and how falling out of it or not learning it properly is what gets you killed. It really helps you imagine the dance that Grim wants you to think of. And the music. Fuck, the music. Defeating his normal form is quite easy, and the reward is simple. Most people end with the view of the fight being one of the best things to come with it, better than any reward he grants. Grim represents the importance of design for the NPCs in Hollow Knight. He looks sleek, acts with intention and care, and contains some of the best moments for many players in their Hollow Knight playthrough. Hollow Knight uses these core identities to make tons of unforgettable NPCs that expand on the lore greatly, and I'm excited to see it in its entirety in Silksong once I get to properly beating that game. So this was my first attempt at a scripted video in years, and I'm not sure how to feel about it, so if you liked it, please be sure to let me know, and I'll try to make more like it. Either way, I'd appreciate it if you checked out some of my other videos on this channel and give me your thoughts there too. Have a good one.